talking bot. When I am not predicting the existence of multiverses or black holes, I like to watch a bit of cinema. Now, I really enjoyed John Carpenter's The Thing, even though the probability of alien life reaching Earth are 5 billion to 1. Nevertheless, this film fucking rocks. However, I do have a problem with a recent remake/prequel released last year and based on the events which precede John Carpenter's film in the Swedish camp.
Not Swedish, Mac, the Norwegian.
The Norwegian camp. Now in the original, I was interested in what kind of shit had gone down at the Swedish camp. Remember in the original it started with a husky dog being chased by a helicopter from the Swedish base. Before Pot shot Jonas can pop a cap in the dog's ass. Here he pops one in his. Right on. So to understand why Pot shot Jonas decided to get in a helicopter and go doggy hunting, Macready and Dr. Copper fly up to the Swedish base to find out what drugs they have been taking. They find the base destroyed, all of the people are gone in a huge block of ice, which something has escaped from. Outside they find a burn pit with a freaky-looking mass of arms, legs and orgasmic faces conjoined. So the prequel setup is to try and explain what happened at the Swedish camp prior to this. So my first problem with the Thing prequel is that, although the events at the Norwegian camp set the scene nicely for John Carpenter's The Thing, I don't particularly need to see a breakdown of how it all happened. It's not important to the story. Like the Star Wars prequels, Titanic, or the Bible the movie. A story that builds to an outcome that you already know is not interesting. Another problem I have with this remake/prequel is, you know they are going to use CGI to make the Thing effects. Rob Bottin's effects in the 1982 original were groundbreaking and still stand up to this day. CGI is fucking bollocks and your eyes know you are only watching a load of pixels on a screen and not something real you can almost touch. Now, the Thing prequel was originally slated for a March 2011 release date. This was pushed back to October as Universal Pictures stated to allow time for reshoots and enhancing of existing sequences. Or in plain English, because the film sucked so hard they needed more time on the special effects, pacing and editing. So the film begins with a snow tractor driving across a snowfield. A bunch of very Norwegian lookalikes are driving around hunting for a signal. A crack appears in the ice and they go bye-bye down a hole, where they discover what looks like a massive ship buried in the ice. That saves 20 minutes of the movie then. Cut to our resident heroine Ripley alike Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She is some kind of paleontologist biologist who enjoys spending her time shoving a camera up dead animals' asses. She would be really useful in the Arctic investigating a multicellular alien life form, no doubt. Next, enter some dude who looks like he has just wandered off of the set of the new Thunderbirds movie remake. Next, in comes James Cameron, rambling on about the secret of unobtainium and his next underwater journey to the bottom of his own ego. While I am on the subject, there are far too many characters in this movie. There is the useful brainy heroine who can rough it, the hero who happens to be a tough guy like Macready and flies helicopters. There is the creepy head doctor you know is going to have dual motivation, the token black friend, a bunch of very Norwegians and a woman. All are here en masse to provide the Thing with a veritable fuckfest. In John Carpenter's The Thing, there was a smaller group of people. For instance, Gary was the self-appointed leader no one liked. Norris was his reluctant second-in-command preferred by the rest of the group as leader. Palmer was the resident stoner wiseman. Clark was the weirdo outsider who slept with dogs. Paranoid Fuchs, distrusting Blaine, trustful Copper, and in it for the Discovery Bennings. Knowles the cool cook. Childs was the macho rival to Macready but less trustworthy. Macready was the damaged pilot who just liked to fly and Windows the young impatient radio operator. Each was given enough screen time in the slower suspenseful build-up, whether integral to the story or not, to show a base character and some kind of motivation. In Thing Prequel, we get no time for any characterization, as shortly after Lizzie Winnehead reaches the base and meets MacReady not off Joel Schumacher, she goes to see the UFO, dig up the alien, bring it back, and then it escapes, and it's time for lots of deaths and war. So having woken up from few millennia sleep with a grouchy monster hangover, Prequel Thing goes on the rampage killing a Verdi nor Swede. Joel Schumacher does the MacReady thing and burns it, but you get a better look at it than if it were on the monster catwalk. This unveiling of the monster straight away does nothing to build up the tension. A monster is best only seen in fleeting glimpses or not at all. So the scientists just like in the original work out what the thing is and how it copies and destroys cells. This gives Lizzie Winnehead the paranoia that all in the chem is not what they seem. Later on, she bumps in the guy who got a thin blood splash to the face and he doesn't look well. She suspects that he may be the thing himself. She goes for shit and discovers that someone has done a big period in the shower all over the floor. With her fears seemingly confirmed, she runs out and tries to stop Joel Schumacher from taking the sick Norwegian off of the base in the helicopter. Yeah, I lie to you, you crazy bitch. Aboard the plane, the sick man is getting worse and looks like he is about to turn into the thing. But wait, no, his friend looks like he is having a stroke and he becomes the thing instead, causing the helicopter to crash. I don't like this scene, it's too explanatory. It would have better if the helicopter had took off and then we just witnessed it crash without seeing the thing reveal. At least then, it would have built a bit of tension and raised a few questions. Was it the thing that caused it, or did the helicopter suffer engine trouble? Was it sabotage?
This is bullshit, Mac.
So now Lizzie Winnehead shares her fears with the rest of the Beard crew, telling them about the cells mimicking other cells, the period in the shower and the injured crew member aboard the helicopter. After the group leave, the Norwegian woman pulls Winnehead to one side and relays her fears about one of the other group acting suspiciously and disposing of a package. Remember, at this point Winnehead should have worked out that thing needs to be in close proximity to its victim, preferably on its own to assimilate it over a period of time. And boy, this woman is the creepiest person on the base and has thing material written all over her.
I don't know if I should be speaking about this. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. Speaking about what? You were saying about someone cleaning up the blood from the shower.
Or it may just be the bad acting, with the actress only barely able to speak pidgin English. She tells Winnehead about where all of the keys to the tractors are, and if she accompanies her to a lonely storeroom, she will tell her where they are. At this point, Winnehead should toast her with a flamethrower, but to be fair, you don't go around frying people with hardly any evidence.
Your earring. It was your other ear.
Oh. So Winnehead and the Thing Lady go to the storeroom for a lazy hookup and to find the tractor keys. And the Thing Lady turns into the Sarlacc pit on legs and tries to kill Winnehead. The next really annoying thing about this film is that everyone is running around with flamethrowers strapped on. I mean, this is an Arctic base. What do they need with all of this firepower? I know. Let's keep a few flame units stored away in case we get attacked by the alien equivalent of alien HIV. In John Carpenter's Thing, there is one flamethrower which they explain away as for unfreezing the pipes, and when MacReady asks for it, everyone is surprised.
Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what? That's what he said. Now move!
noch. Komm noch weg.
Brenn die Helvete.
So in a scene directly ripped off of the original Thing, they take the Thing bodies outside and torch them in a fire pit. Winhead explains the creature's motivations, exactly like MacReady.
It attacks its prey.
And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now.
Copies it perfectly. And then hides inside it.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation.
Waiting.
It'll fight if it has to.
Could be any of us.
But it's vulnerable out in the open.
Maybe alone. Vulnerable.
If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies.
That's exactly what it wants.
Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won. There's a storm hitting us in 6 hours. We're gonna find out who's who.
Exposing our uncontaminated blood to the cells of the creature might create a reaction.
So now Joel Schumacher and his friend turn up again. Now, if they had kept the helicopter crash a bit more mysterious, then you might be curious as to how they survived. And was it genuine engine trouble or a Thing on the helicopter? But you know the Thing was definitely on Chopper, so it is more than likely one of them is the Thing. And also, why would the Thing reveal itself on the helicopter and risk crashing it when they were taking it out of the Arctic, which is what it wanted? Nothing in this dumb movie makes any sense. So, because the group don't trust Joel and his friend, they lock them in an outbuilding, just like MacReady and co. do to Blaine. They then go off to prepare a test to check who is the Thing, and then plan to come back and do the prisoners later. Just like the original. However, the Things in the camp have different ideas and decide to burn down the lab, just like in the original when the Thing tampers with the extra blood stock to prevent contamination tests. Just to add another layer to the shit sandwich, Joel Schumacher and Token then escape from the potting shed, just like Blaine in the original, and have a showdown in the hallway before cruelly murdering the Norwegian flamethrower operator for no reason. Which was maybe a nod to when MacReady followed up with his threat to shoot dog-loving Clark himself. The point of this killing is, I don't know. But in the original it showed MacReady could be ruthless to maintain control of the situation, even when Clark turned out not to be a Thing. Back to the remake, remembering this is probably just a plot device to get people injured and spread confusion. Which would be a great opportunity for the Thing to strike, wouldn't it? The injured man turns out to be the Thing and attacks one of the Verdi Norwegians by separating his hand and trying to face-fuck him. I will never watch Addams Family the same ever again after this, and there can't be many Verdi Norwegians left in the camp now. I have a problem with this. If the Thing is happy to just detach body parts and chase people around, then why doesn't it just split into millions of cells and take over everyone in the room in one go? The answer is, it wouldn't, or there wouldn't be a movie. But at this point, with the various Thing reveals so far, I think the writer was desperately searching for a new way to reveal the Thing. So after whipping everyone, poor Thunderbird boy gets it on the floor. This scene is an attempt to explain the mass of bodies, which MacReady and Copper found outside in the original, with a weird conjoined face. Strangely, like in the original, the flamethrower stops working, but Winhead get her act together and torches the poor face, fuck Norwegian, on the floor, just like poor Windows in the original. Next, James Cameron gets it in a storeroom cupboard before he gets a chance to release Avatar 2. Now with our husband and wife team assembled, they go Thing hunting, where they come across Thing from the Addams Family making out with his hand friend. Crispy finger licking good. Now Spider Thing comes back for round 2. With some of the worst CGI ever committed to celluloid, and then dies like a limp lettuce leaf outside. So realizing that James Cameron got thinking that he has stolen a tractor and is heading back to his ship to escape, our two heroes set off after him, leaving the Norwegian base trashed. So they both reach the flying saucer and Winhead falls in through an open grill. Now Joel Schumacher has the flamethrower. Does he slide in after her? Does he agree? He just leaves her to it. Next we are treated to a pointless tour of the Thing ship, with some visuals, which suggest it's getting ready to take off. Winhead is then attacked by the Thing and dragged backwards through a tunnel. Why drag her? Why not just assimilate her then? Or send a hand crawling after her, whilst it deals with Joel Schumacher, the greater threat, carrying a weapon. So Winhead chucks a grenade she had handy down its throat, and gives it a bad case of monster heartburn. Then Joel Schumacher reappears and they both escape. What is the point in this character again? Now when MacReady and co found the saucer in the original, they stated that the Norwegians had used explosives on it, damaging its hull.
And look at that, they're planning thermite charges.
Fuck you too!
But in the prequel, it appears the saucer melted its way out of the cave, and although the Thing exploded inside the ship, we don't see any exterior damage. So confused, and I know about quantum mechanics and shit, they could have just done a CGI visual of the whole thing exploding. That would have at least explained something. And now the film reaches a climax, with the dumbest scene of the entire movie. This scene shows that this film follows no discernible logic, having vanquished the Thing. Winhead and Joel Schumacher return to the snow tractor to drive off into the sunset and fuck. However, Winhead has been suspicious of JS since his return from the helicopter crash, believing him now to be a Thing. She now confronts him with her irrefutable evidence.
You know how I knew you were human? When you showed up back at base?
No.
Your earring. It was your other ear.
That she believed him to be human after his return from the crash, but now she believes he is a Thing because he, A, points to the wrong ear and B, doesn't have an earring in anymore. This must be the flimsiest evidence, since Gary Oldman shot JFK.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Only a few minutes earlier, upon leaving the base to chase Jim Cameron Thing back to the spaceship in the tractor, JS is shown as having an earring in, so he must have been gotten in between Winhead falling into the ship and then coming to rescue her. But it's possible that his earring just fell out and she made a mistake. So what would have made a reasonably open conclusion for the viewer to ponder as to whether she killed the Thing or a human is lost when, upon torching JS, he screams like a Thing. What a bunch of chisel.
Maybe we'll just warm things up a little around here.
So having torched her only chance of a hookup in a snow tractor, Winhead is left alone to ponder whether she can make it to the Russian base, which is only 50 miles away. Yes, that's right, I said Russian base. Here is an example of a really not used passing comment by Joel Schumacher, which is only there to give hope to Winhead's survival, which completely tears up the geography established in the original Thing.
There's a Russian station. About 50 miles from here.
We are never told how far exactly the American base is from the Norwegian base, only that it's about an hour's copter flight.
Can't condone it much myself, but it is a short haul. An hour there, an hour back.
The crash site is referenced in the original as being 5 miles away from the Norwegian base, so with the average chopper capable of flying 200 to 350 miles per hour in optimum conditions, this means that the American base is at least over 100 miles away, so this makes the Russian base closer than the American base and the Norwegian base even closer than this at only 10 miles. But in the original, Bennings tells us that the American base is the only close base to the Norwegians.
Mac, it may not clear up for a week.
Yeah.
And we're the closest ones to them.
So are we to believe that there is a secret Russian base that the Americans don't know about? I know this is set in the Cold War, but come on. So it would make sense to head back to the Norwegian base as there are still 2 survivors there. Colin and Lars. And although it is trashed and on fire, they could probably stay warm, keep alive and gather supplies. Winhead should have headed back to the base as another helicopter turns up. So they try to do something really clever in between the credits, is feature scenes, which tie in with the beginning of the original. The radio operator has slit his wrist so MacReady and Copper can find him later. And the remaining survivor, Lars, is chasing a husky dog, forcing the chopper pilot to take off and give chase. Don't be taken in by the original music and attempt to tie it into the original. You have been fooled. They did something similar with Star Wars Revenge of the Sith by making the sets at the end more Star Warsy in an attempt to bullshit the viewer in believing the prequels tied in exactly with the beginning of A New Hope. It's a last-ditch attempt to persuade the viewer after 200 minutes of CGI nonsense. So to try and sum up this film, it was a mistake to try and follow John Carpenter's excellent original with a CGI monster mashup. It has less to do with the original than any modern paint-by-numbers horror flick. Characters. The original spent time building up some suspense and establishing a small number of characters for us to either root for or dislike. The new film introduces an army of dirty Norwegians, and it becomes extremely confusing trying to work out who is who. The end result is a lot of cannon fodder for the thing, and we don't care about any of them. The principal characters of Winhead and Joel Schumacher could have been melded into one character. They go after the typically oh-so-modern strong female Ripley-style character, who begins the film as some kind of intellectual but ends it as a tooled-up ass kicker. This leaves the Joel Schumacher character with nothing to do. There's no room for him to stretch his action muscle, so he ends up a glorified chauffeur driving Winhead around in either the helicopter or snow tractor.
Shit, Doc, I'll give you the lift.
The rest of the characters are so forgettable. When they die, we are just like, meh. In the original, MacReady did not establish himself as the hero till near the end. He was just the chopper pilot, arrogant, not that likable and ruthless, willing to kill innocents to maintain control of the situation, and was able to explain the scientific elements to the audience as the resident everyman. Winhead is shoved center stage at the beginning of the film as the Ripley clone, heroine. Even Ripley in Alien didn't feature as the main character till near the end. Start the movie with Winhead and then surprise the audience by killing her halfway through and allowing another lesser character some screen time as hero. CGI. CGI will never replace good old-fashioned physical special effects. Our eyes just won't let us be deceived. Rob Bottom worked so hard on the original effects he had to go to hospital as he had burned himself out. The guys who did the thing Prequel CGI should just have got burned. Too many thing reveals. We see the thing just too much. I mean, leave something to the imagination, and by the 50th reveal I am just not bothered anymore. Basis of movie and lazy connections. This film doesn't know whether it wants to be a prequel to the original or a remake. There are a number of ties-ins to the original made, but it plays too loose and fast with the established mythos and confuses the eagle-eyed viewer. They should have just remade it entirely and not tried to rub shoulders with giants by tying it in. There is no suspense in this film like the slow build-up of the original. It shoots its bolt every time there is an opportunity for another thing reveal. The result is an uneven mix of too many OTT action scenes and too little dialogue when the characters do speak. The whole point of an alien which hides inside a human host is the paranoia and claustrophobia of the situation. They can explain the prequel thing as waking up pissed off and angry and not learning to take its time when assimilating until it reaches the American camp. But I don't buy that crock. Instead, the thing in this movie is just plain dumb and no learning process takes place. That is a stupid explanation to let the writers off with attempting to create a closed, tense atmosphere and instead have thing reveals and killed on fast dial. So the third act of the prequel is an almost shot-for-shot remake of the original. So it's not hard to want to start comparing. And ultimately, in comparison, the Thing prequel will never live up to the original in terms of characters, story, special effects, impact or horror. Finally, if you ever wondered what the Perry or Swedish shouted to the Americans at the beginning of the original Thing, wonder no more. So long.
Det har ikke en bikkje i. Det en slags ting. Det imiterer en bikkje. Det ikke virkelig. Kom deg vekk, idioter!
Hey, thanks for thinking about it, though.